Hank's morning routine. This morning was pretty much the same as any other. I woke up, and the first thing on my mind was this bizarre recurring dream I've been having about a guy dressed in a sloth suit. It's weird, I know. After that, I threw on some clothes because it was chilly, and then I made myself some toast with butter since I was pretty hungry. Then, of course, I let the dog out. She was staring at me with those big eyes and whining because she wanted to go outside. After that, I brewed some tea, but I was extra careful this time, letting it cool down a bit before I drank it. Because, well, I burned my mouth on it yesterday. As mundane as this all sounds, these little actions are more than just the start of my day. They're a great example of how my nervous system operates. The bizarre dream, the feeling of the cold air, the decision to butter my toast, responding to my dog's signals, and even letting the tea cool. All of these things are processed and executed by electrical and chemical signals running to and from nerve cells in my body. We can't overstate just how important the nervous system is. It controls everything you do, every thought, every action, every response, every feeling. It manages all your organs, and even your body's second in command, the endocrine system, answers to it. Without the nervous system, there is no you, no me, no animals, no life as we know it. It's that important. That's why we're dedicating the next few episodes to exploring the basics of the nervous system, how it's structured, how it communicates, and what happens when it gets damaged. Welcome to Mission Control, everyone. Nervous system functions: sensory input, integration, and motor output. Although nearly every animal has a nervous system, except for very simple organisms like sponges, humans have a highly advanced one. It's what really makes us stand out. Whether we're writing novels, debating theoretical physics, or juggling knives, everything we do, think, and feel can be boiled down to three core functions: sensory input, integration, and motor output. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine a spider crawling onto your bare knee. Sensory input. The sensory receptors in your skin detect those 8 little legs, sending that information to your brain. This is your sensory input. Integration. Once the sensory input reaches your brain, it gets processed. The brain asks, what should I do about this? Should I calmly let the spider crawl over me? Or should I freak out and start flailing around screaming, "Spider!" This process of analyzing and making a decision is called integration. Motor output. After the brain processes the information, it sends out commands to your muscles, like telling your hand to swat at the spider, or even triggering a loud scream. This is your motor output, the response the nervous system triggers to protect you. As you can see, this entire process relies on a highly integrated system that constantly detects, processes, and acts on stimuli, all day, every day, without us even thinking about it. Organization of central and peripheral nervous systems. When we talk about the nervous system, we're not just talking about one single unit. We're talking about multiple systems that work together, primarily divided into 2 major parts: the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, PNS. Central nervous system, CNS. This is your brain and spinal cord. It acts as the control center of the body, processing all the information and making decisions. It's where your brain decides you should swat that spider. Peripheral nervous system, PNS. This consists of all the nerves that extend from the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body. It's how the central nervous system communicates with every part of your body, from your toes to your fingertips. The PNS does this by transmitting sensory information to the CNS and motor commands back out to muscles and glands. The PNS works in 2 directions. 1. Sensory, afferent, division. This division collects sensory information from your body and environment, like the feeling of a spider on your knee, and sends it to the CNS for processing. Second motor, efferent, division. This division sends instructions from the CNS to your muscles and glands. For example, when the brain tells your hand, "Swat the spider," The motor division makes it happen. The motor division itself is divided into two main branches: somatic nervous system. This is the voluntary part of the motor division. It controls skeletal muscles and enables you to make conscious movements, like swatting away a spider. Autonomic nervous system. This is the involuntary part of the motor division. It controls automatic functions, such as heart rate, breathing, and digestion. Within the autonomic nervous system, there are two parts that work in opposition. Sympathetic division. This is your fight or flight response. It prepares your body for action. When you see that spider, the sympathetic division makes your heart race, your muscles tense, and your body ready to act. Parasympathetic division. This is your rest and digest system. It calms your body down once the threat has passed, telling your brain, it's not a big deal, you're fine. Breathe. Neurons and glial cells. Most of your nervous system is made up of nervous tissue, which is packed with cells. In fact, less than 20% of nervous tissue is extracellular space. The rest is made up of tightly packed cells. The most famous of these cells are neurons, or nerve cells, which transmit electrical signals. Neurons get all the attention. They're the ones we thank when we solve problems or ace a test. But they make up only a small fraction of the nervous tissue. Surrounding and supporting these neurons are glial cells, or neuroglia, which play many critical roles. In fact, glial cells make up about 50% of the mass of your brain and outnumber neurons by about 10 to 1. They were once thought of as just the glue that held neurons together, but we now know that they have many vital functions. Glial cells in the CNS and PNS. There are several types of glial cells in both the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, PNS. In the CNS, astrocytes. These star-shaped cells are the most abundant in the CNS. They help anchor neurons to their blood supply and regulate the exchange of nutrients and waste. Microglia. These are the immune cells of the brain and spinal cord. They act like bodyguards, defending against harmful microorganisms. Ependymal cells. These line the brain's cavities and the spinal cord, producing and circulating cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, which cushions and protects the brain and spinal cord. Oligodendrocytes. These cells wrap around neurons to form a protective layer called the myelin sheath, which speeds up the transmission of electrical signals. In the PNS satellite cells, these cells support the cell bodies of neurons in the PNS, similar to astrocytes in the CNS. Schwann cells. These are the PNS equivalent of oligodendrocytes. They wrap around axons to form myelin sheaths, which insulate the axons and speed up electrical impulse transmission. Cool neuron facts. Neurons are pretty awesome. Here are a few things you might not know about them. 1. Longevity. Neurons are among the longest-lived cells in your body. Some neurons, particularly those in the cerebral cortex of your brain, can live for your entire life. 2. Irreplaceability. Neurons are mostly amitotic, which means they don't divide. Once they're set in place, they're there for the long haul. So, it's important to take care of your neurons. 3. High energy demand. Neurons have a huge metabolic demand. They need a steady supply of glucose and oxygen to function. In fact, about 25% of the calories you consume each day go to fueling your brain's activities. Neuron structure. Despite their diversity, all neurons share a basic structure. The soma, or cell body, is the central part of the neuron. It contains the nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, and other organelles that keep the cell alive. Dendrites. These are the branch-like extensions that receive messages from other cells and transmit that information to the cell body. Axon. This is the long extension that carries electrical impulses away from the cell body to other neurons, muscles, or glands. Some axons can be quite long, like the ones that stretch all the way from your spine to your toes. Classifying neurons: multipolar, Bipolar and unipolar neurons can be classified by the number of processes, extensions, coming from the cell body. Multipolar neurons. These neurons have 3 or more processes, usually one axon, and multiple dendrites. Most neurons in your body are multipolar. Bipolar neurons. These neurons have 2 processes, one axon and one dendrite. They're quite rare and are mainly involved in sensory functions, like the ones in your retina. Unipolar neurons. These neurons have only one process, and they're often involved in sensory functions, like detecting touch or temperature. Neuron function, sensory, motor, and interneurons. Neurons can also be classified by function, sensory neurons. These neurons carry sensory information from receptors in the body to the CNS. They're typically unipolar, motor neurons. These neurons transmit commands from the CNS to muscles and glands. They're usually multipolar. Interneurons. These neurons act as intermediaries, linking sensory and motor neurons. They are mostly multipolar and are found primarily in the brain and spinal cord. Putting it all together. The spider on your knee. Let's tie everything we've learned together by looking at our original example, a spider on your knee. Let's tie everything we've learned together by looking at our original example, a spider on your knee. Sensory neurons. In your skin detect the spider's legs and send the information through your PNS to the CNS. The information is processed by interneurons in the spinal cord and brain, and your brain sends a message back down through motor neurons to your muscles. Swat the spider. Your somatic nervous system allows you to voluntarily move your hand to remove the spider. Review. Today, we learned about the nervous system's key functions: sensory input, integration, and motor output. We explored the structure and function of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, along with the roles of glial cells. We also discussed the different types of neurons, their structure, and how they work together to help you react to stimuli, like that spider on your knee. Thanks for watching.